Hey everybody, GCurse here. I hope you're all having a great day. Today is the special video that I promised everybody that I'd be posting yesterday after I did the latest commentary video on John Fairbanks. So, like I said, today it's going to be the case of Casie Nicole. But as always, let's get through these little, necessities, I should say. You already seen this one, so next. Okay, then next. Okay, little quick, introduction about this video. Basically, what it is that some fishermen went out. There's two cases of missing fishermen. I can't recall which one is which. If I remember correctly, I think this one is the one that was based in Hawaii or Honolulu. But we'll find out during the video. I already got the Wikipedia page set up for this, so I can click over to that when this video's over and we can see what happened. As always, this video will contain my frank and possibly stern opinions, so if strong opinions offend you, please stop the video. And as always, I apologize for the quality. This is also one of those videos that I could only record a long time ago on real old capture software, so the quality is pretty shitty. So I apologize for that. Okay, let's get started.
The vast oceans of the world have captivated humankind since the dawn of civilization. The young especially seem drawn by the promise of adventure and romance.
Okay, I'll be honest. I always wanted to... Excuse me, sorry about that. I always wanted to be a sailor, but I just never been able to do it. The most I can ever recall actually being out on the water was when I was like 4 or 5, when me and my father would go fishing. I remember back then that I caught a massive rainbow trout. It was like the biggest accomplishment I had when I was young, it was just something I was really proud of, so. But let's continue.
But there are also 1,000 hidden dangers. Sometimes the sea can be an unforgiving mistress. In 1990 alone, 865 people drowned in American coastal waters. April 12, 1990, Richland Hill, Georgia, just south of Savannah. 4 commercial fishermen prepare to embark on a 7-day expedition in the Atlantic. The captain is 23-year-old Billy Joe Neesmith. The crew includes his brother Nathan, his nephew Keith Wilkes, and a friend, Franklin Brantley.
We ready? Let's go fishing. Franklin, you in? I'm in. Let's go. All right. It's all yours.
In the late afternoon, they set off in the Casie Nicole, a snapper boat owned by Billy Joe Neesmith's employer. The boat had recently been returned to service after 5 weeks in dry dock for maintenance.
We were headed out probably approximately close to 90 miles offshore. I guess it was somewhere around 3:30, 4 in the morning. That next morning, it was still dark. I had got up and was operating the boat, and the boat just seemed to be sluggish, like it wanted to bust through the waves, kind of like a submarine or something. It didn't want to ride over the waves.
Something's wrong. Man. I don't feel right. Billy Joe!
So I told my brother, he was laying in the bunk. I woke him up. I said, Billy Joe, I said, oh, son, I said, something's wrong with the boat.
What's up there? Man, we'll stay on course.
What do you mean it won't stay on course?
I'm losing 10, 15 degrees, man. I tried it manually and it keeps going off. And then I tried it with the automatic pilot and it won't hold, man.
Okay, now, that's one thing I love about these older Unsolved Mysteries videos, or these cases. the acting was so raw, like it's hard to really explain it. It's just the way that they act and stuff. You could tell that these are not well-versed actors. And that's what I liked about this, because it had that feel, it added to that sense of realism, like how the guy was trying to explain to the person that just woke up about how the boat was drifting. If this was a veteran actor, he would have been able to get his lines out without much stuttering. And that's what I actually liked about this. That's what I liked about Unsolved Mysteries. It's just how they made it sound so realistic. Towards the end, it was a lot more professional, but it was these early cases that I really loved the most.
We got to noticing around, the boat was riding pretty deep in the water.
Jesus, Mason, we're 2 foot down. Did you check the engine? It sounds like it's sputtering a bit.
No, I ain't checked it, man. We better check it, though.
Oh, man, Nathan, we got 2 foot of water down there. Let me see that light. Nathan, did you hit them pumps yet? No. Hit them a couple times.
And we started working on our pumps, trying to get our pumps to work to pump the boat out.
How about now?
Nothing. Damn, we gotta get them boys up there, so we gotta start.
Okay, now this is one thing I will admit I always would be afraid of, is like if I'm out in the middle, 90 miles off the coast in a boat, and all of a sudden it starts taking on water. I'll admit that would scare the living shit out of me. With that said, it sounds like, now they didn't say it outright, at least not yet that I can recall, but apparently the pumps weren't working. Now they said that the boat, I think they said it was earlier in the case. They said it was either 5 weeks or 5 months that the boat spent in dry dock. Now I'm not well versed in boat, how boats work and everything and what happens at dry dock, but I would hope that they would do a test on everything. If the pumps were not working, it seems like that they should have noticed that back when the boat was in dry dock. You would think that there'd be like a checklist of everything that they go through. Like, does the engine work? Yes. Are the lights working? Yes. Are the pumps working? If the pumps are not working, then it should be something that the owners of the dry dock and their crew, they should be kind of investigated to see what happened.
Get this water out of here right now.
The other crew members slept down in the bow, and when we turned on the light, we noticed there was water about a foot deep down in the bunks where they were at.
We're sinking, y'all. Come on, get out. Come on.
And we got in a line and started passing the bucket, trying to bail the boat out. In the meantime, we took the life raft out. It was a 2-man life raft. We'd been hollering Mayday on the radio. We had Billy Joe on it, working it.
Casie Nicole, we're taking the water and going down. Somebody come back and it blade.
Never did get anywhere with that. And the engine finally stalled.
Casie Nicole, we're going. Ah!
Okay, by the sounds of it, even the radio wasn't working. It could be just because they were like 90 miles off of the coast. I'm not sure. I'm not a maritime professional. I don't claim to be. I'm just a fan of Unsolved Mysteries. So I'm not sure what the radius of those radios are. But the more and more now that I'm sitting here and doing the commentary of this video, the more I think about it, the pump wasn't working. The radio possibly wasn't working. I'm really wondering if this boat was sabotaged. I'll talk more about that at the end of this video, but let's continue on.
All power on the Casie Nicole was lost. The radio was useless. The 4 men abandoned ship.
The life raft was kind of rotten. It had a hole in the side of it up on the top. We don't know for sure if the anchor snagged it and tore this hole in it, or if the thing was just rotten and it eventually wore in it. We don't really know what happened there, but we do know that it had a hole in it about the size of a quarter.
And then once again, I'm not sure where the anchors are held, but like if it was rotted, if I remember correctly, isn't there like a yearly checklist or something that boat captains normally go through to make sure all their equipment is up to date and still in good shape? You would think that a 4-man life raft with that's rotted would be something that the captain should have noticed by now, at least by that point.
By sunrise, the life raft was sinking fast. Then salvation came floating by. The hatch cover from the Casie Nicole.
I think I got it. Got it? Oh, it's heavy. What's the door to see? Come on, buddy. Oh, I'm tired. Come on, buddy.
The 4 men tethered the raft to the hatch cover and clambered aboard. It was then that Nathan Neesmith spotted the hull of the Casie Nicole in the distance.
It looked like it was maybe 3 or 4 miles from us. I said, I don't know what kind of chance we got, but at least maybe one of us can make it to the boat and get some kind of help. Well, that's what I struck out to do. And they started hollering, no, you come back, you stay with us. We can't separate up. If we separate up, we're going to be split up and ain't no telling what to go wrong.
I understand why he separated from the group. The logic is, at least if I'm thinking correctly, the logic is that, the more directions that people go, the better chance that there could be rescue, even though that they're further apart and everything. But I do agree that they should have stayed together. Maybe, we may have not seen any of them ever again, but at least we know that they would have all been together. Whereas now, one of them survived and the rest, presumably are all dead. But let's continue on.
I just kept swimming. I swam from probably about 9 o'clock that morning, and just before dark that afternoon, I got to where I thought was what the boat was. And I got to looking around, and I seen the stern of the boat sticking up at a distance, probably another 100 yards or so to the right of it. So I just kept swimming. I done swam till I thought there wasn't no more swimming in me. And I drank so much salt water trying to swim in it. I was just real weak.
As darkness fell, Nathan lost sight of his companions. He spent a long, harrowing night clinging to the hull of the Casie.
I'm real sorry about the quality of this video. I didn't know that. I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was this bad. I did not recall it being this bad when I recorded it on the PlayStation 3, back in 2011. I think that's when I recorded this case. So I think at some points we may just have to settle with hearing what they have to say, but yeah, I apologize.
Nicole. The next morning, a freighter passed within 3 miles of Nathan.
This ship here looked like it made about 4 stops, maybe 5 stops, and each time it would stop or circle, I could see a fog of smoke boil out of it. And it was in the direction that my other mates had went, so I figured that maybe it had stopped to pick them up.
The freighter continued its odd maneuvers for nearly 3 hours.
Okay, that's one thing that really kind of makes me... I have 2 theories about this, which I will talk about at the end of this case. The way that ship was acting, according to this the survivor, it really makes me wonder, something doesn't seem right about this ship.
Then disappeared. For 2.5 days, Nathan Neesmith drifted and prayed that the Casie Nicole would stay afloat. All seemed lost until a large wood and styrofoam bait box ripped loose from the boat's deck and popped to the surface.
I couldn't tell what it was for a minute because I was scared and everything like that. And I swam over to it where I could get a better view of it. And like I say, I was pretty weak. I was done about starved down. I was hungry and thirsty and really weak. And I got to the front of it, and bless God, the whole front was out. I mean, it was just like just like a boat to me. I mean, it looked like just something that I needed at the moment.
I'll be honest, I feel sorry for him. Can you imagine what he had to go through, 2 days, I think they said 2 days, 2 nights of being, left in the ocean alone, drifting. You don't know where you're going. And then you got to think about the physical effects. He was severely dehydrated from the salt water. He was hungry, as he said. One thing that I can remember, that I can really say I say that I understand is back when I was really young. God, I think I was like 8 or 9 at the time. I was very stupid, and I spent like almost a full day playing in a pool. I was camping with my father. It was at a campground that had a pool. Well, by the end of that day, I was so sunburned and blistered because what people don't realize is that water, it's like a magnifying glass. It will boil you, even though the water feels nice and comfortable. It intensifies the rays of the sun and the heat. And I was literally from my head down, I was so sunburned and blistered by the time I got home after that camping trip. My mother would spend at least a half hour wrapping me in gauze and putting lidocaine on me. I think that's what it was, to help with the burns. And I went through this on a nightly basis for over a week, trying to get the blisters down and everything. My grandmother, who was a doctor at the time before, I'm not sure if she's alive, I haven't seen her in a long time. My grandmother, she was a doctor, and she said basically associated with what I had with, like, I think she said 2nd-degree burns. It was pretty bad. My back was very, very messed up, and to this date, even though I'm like 37 now, my back is still pretty sensitive. I mean, if you slap me on my back and my back is like bare, it's very tender still. I think I may have some kind of skin damage or something, but so I can only imagine how bad this poor guy was also sunburned because of the sun and the water and everything. Continuing on.
It was really hot. I mean, I was getting real sunburnt. My skin was turning real, real red, and I was very close to dead. I mean, actually, I was to the stage of death, but I knew I couldn't give up because I had 2 kids and a wife at home, and I remember saying, God, please let me go home to my wife and kids and be able to raise my kids, Don't let me die in this ocean.
At 10 a.m. on April 15th, 1990, Nathan Neesmith was finally rescued 20 miles off the coast of Georgia. He had been adrift without food or water for 4 days.
Okay, so I was wrong. I thought this could have been the case I think it was Honolulu. I'll see if I can find the case that I'm talking about after this case is over. So this one was based closer to the continental United States, and it was 4 days since the crew was lost, and he was 20 miles off the coast of Georgia.
Nathan Neesmith's companions were never found. A large-scale search mounted by the Coast Guard yielded no trace of the life raft or the hatch cover. But Nathan and his family never gave up hope that the 3 men might somehow have survived. It seemed a futile hope until a strange telephone call was made to the home of Nathan's sister, Onita. It was October 5th, 1990, 6 months after the Casie Nicole had sunk. Onita's mother-in-law answered the telephone.
Hello? What? I can't understand you. Can you speak English?
The caller, a man, spoke in Spanish and seemed unable to understand English.
No. I can't understand a word you're saying. You can speak English?
all this person would keep saying is repeating our phone number and saying our name, and that's all. Then it was just like a cut-off. There wasn't anything after that. And, you know, we just kept saying hello, hello, and it was just cut off, static cut off.
That same day, an unusual call also came into the home of Doug Tyson, owner of the ill-fated Casie Nicole.
Hello?
Once again, the caller was a man. The only English words he said were the Tyson's name and telephone number.
That was strange.
What do you mean?
They were speaking in Spanish.
In Spanish? We didn't say anything about the call when we got it. 6 weeks later after that, about 6 weeks, we were down visiting with the Neesmith family. And they started telling us about their call. And after they got through, I said, how long ago was this? Asked them. They thought back a minute. They said, about 6 weeks. I looked at my wife. She looked at me, and she said, nodded her head. She said, about the same time, eh? I said, yeah.
Over the next year, 5 more calls came in. 3 to Oneida and 2 to the Tysons. Finally, on March 6, 1991, the caller spoke a single sentence in English.
Hello? Excuse me? I said just very simple words. Not, I'm bringing it home, I'm bringing him home. Just said, I'm bringing him home. That was it. Hello? Hello?
After only a moment, the connection was broken. There have been no calls since. The Neesmiths and the Tysons are convinced that the 3 missing men were taken aboard the passing freighter and perhaps transported to a foreign country against their will.
I think they're somewhere being held. I really do. And I think that whoever called us is putting themselves on the line because my brother or my nephew or our friend, one of the 3 has made a friend, a very dear friend, because this person that's doing this is probably putting himself on the line to do it.
You know, in my mind, people are lost at sea. They're never found. I realize that. But there's no explanation for where the debris went. And then the fact that Nathan seen the ship stop the first day, you add all those together with the phone calls, and I think it adds up to a tremendous amount of hope.
In my heart, yes, I feel like they're alive. I mean, I think they had I know they had a lot better chance of surviving than I did. I don't think that I would have ever made it, not knowing that they couldn't make it.
What really happened to the lost crewmen of the Casie Nicole? The Coast Guard search was the largest ever conducted in the area of the Atlantic Ocean where they disappeared. Officially, Billy Joe Neesmith, Keith Wilkes, and Franklin Bradley are presumed dead. Unofficially, there seems reasonable hope that they may still be alive.
If you have any information about this story...
Okay. So that was the case of the missing crew of the Casie Nicole. Let's switch over to the thing now. Okay, okay, so I'm not sure if you can see it really well, but let's see here. Okay, this is Nathan Neesmith. He was the sole survivor of the Casie Nicole. Let's see if we can get some other pictures here. Okay, no. Oh, fuck. Why is it... Okay, let's just go back here. There we go. Okay, I can't tell you who is who. Okay, it looks like this could be Billy Joel. This is Keith. And this is Franklin. Okay, and let's see here. They went... The crew went missing on April 12th of 1990. That was the most recent sighting of Franklin Brantley, Billy Neesmith, and Keith Wilkes. And I'm guessing that was from Billy Neesmith's brother. What's his name again? Let's see here. Nathan Neesmith. So I'm guessing that the April 12th was from the brothers, his last time seeing them. And then we have basically the details And then the suspect is the freighter that may have picked up the three men could potentially been involved in illegal maritime activity, or it may have flown the flag of a country with an anti-American policy. The Spanish words of the mysterious caller suggest that they may have been taken to Cuba. The end of the calls may suggest that the caller was discovered and neutralized. Oh, that is dark and grim right there. Either by drug smugglers or his superior officers. And basically, this case first aired on the January 15th of 1992, that episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Sadly enough, the case is still unsolved. Let's go back to when they disappeared. Basically, April 12th of 1990. So April 12th, let's see, 1990 to 2000 is 10 years. 2000 to 2010, that's 20 years. We're almost approaching the year. Well, not almost. We have a few months left, or quite a few months. But we're nearing the year 2020. So these poor people have these poor fishermen have been missing for almost 30 years. No one should have to deal with a missing family member in general. Nonetheless, for 30 years, these families deserve to have some kind of closure. Okay, let's see. I'm just going back to see if there's anything that. Yeah, it basically says their families are very interested in learning their whereabouts and have reason and to hope that their brother, nephew, and good friend are still alive. I'm really hoping that they are still alive, but it's been 30 years roughly. I'm just not really, the part of me that wants to remain hopeful hopes that they are alive, but the logical side of me thinks, yeah, I don't think that they ever exited the ocean alive. If they did, it was not under good circumstances. Okay, let's see, what do we got here? I'm just seeing if they have any kind of monuments or anything built to these people. Okay, not really. Oh, they got a Facebook link. Let's check that out. Oh, it's just a mystery thing. Looks like the picture here is about as bad as the video that I had. Okay, back to that. Okay, here's my thoughts about what happened to Billy, Joe, Keith, and Franklin. I think two things could have happened. One of them, well, they're both kind of bad endings for these poor people. Earlier in this video, people said that basically, or Nathan said that the ship was breaking down at sea. That the pumps weren't working, that the radio wasn't working. What if the owner of the ship, what if he possibly had some secret dealings with some people who are not respected, and they somehow were able to sabotage the ship, and it ultimately led to the disappearance of these three people. That's the first thing I'm wondering, because what dry dock company worth their money, if I know correctly, dry docks are meant to help repair ships and stuff, You would think that they would do a checklist of the ship before the ship was set to go out, The pump wasn't working, the radio wasn't working, But that's the first thing. I'm wondering if these people were a victim of some kind of a conspiracy or whatever you want to call it. However, the outcome I think that is more logical is it revolves around that ship that Nathan saw. when he was adrift at sea. It's a known fact that, people are used as slave labor. What if this boat found these people? Because if this was normally any respectable, entity will try to help people find their way home. It's a known fact. But there are some despicable people out there. What if these people came across a ship that was run by I'm not sure if pirates would be the right term, but they were captured. They were used for slave labor on the ship. They may have located found somebody who had some compassion, and that was the person that was calling these families and everything. And then this poor guy was either discovered and killed or told to be quiet, But, I'm really starting to, the more and more I think about it, I'm thinking that these poor people, that these three people were captured and just used as slave labor until they either died or they were sold off, because it's slavery. You sell slaves once you're done with them. It's rare that you would let a slave go, and I don't think that they would let these fishermen go because of the fact that if they were let go, they would make their way back home, and then they would get the word out that, hey, this people were using us as slaves, and maybe whatever country that these slave masters, or whatever you want to call them, were from, that country could be implicated, and then they would be in trouble with the United States. But that's just my thought, I want to hope that they're still alive, but part of me also says that thinks that they're not, and it's sad, because these people had families, and nobody should have to live with the thought of a missing family member. Okay, so that is the case of the Casie Nicole. These are my thoughts. Now let's see what cases I want to put up for the next poll, shall we? Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see here. I really should find a way to mark these as done, ones that I've done already. That way I don't risk doing a duplicate. Okay, we got Rudolph Hess. So this is a long case. It goes for 23 minutes. I can't recall the name of the other ship. Let's see if I can do a search. Ship, maybe. Let's see here. Okay. Fish. Okay, apparently I don't think the search is working. Let's go back to this. Okay. Fisherman. Let's see here. Hugh Harlan, Diane Harlan, Melvin Wilson. Oh, the crew of the Sarah Joe. Okay, let's. I can't recall if that's the one that. Let's see. I think it would be missing. Let's see here. Because I like these ones that involve boats and stuff for some reason. It really. Okay, this may be. I had it listed as a shrimp boat crew. So, okay, so one of the choices for this poll, it's going to be two choices. And you get to pick. That's what I like about these videos. You get to pick what video I do next. So, basically, the option number one is the missing crew of the Sarah Joe. Or, let's see here. Let's see here. What would be a good one? Spontaneous human combustions. Okay, I'm not sure if you realize what that is because I haven't heard of that in quite a long time. Basically, spontaneous human combustion is when a person mysteriously just catches fire. Nobody knows why. Me and my friends, when we were in junior high, we would talk about this, and we actually had a theory that spontaneous human combustion could be a buildup of uh, flatulence. I don't want to be crass when I say it, but it's a theory we had. Like, what if you do not fart enough, and the vapors and everything somehow ignite inside your body? That's what I thought about it. But okay, so your choices are the unexplained, the case of spontaneous human combustion, or the case of the missing crew of the Sarah Joe, also known as the shrimp boat crew that I label it as. But, so, like I said, I will put these two up for voting on Facebook. I will give the link to the Unsolved Mysteries, or UMHQ Facebook page. And please, just say what you would like to see. In the case that has the most votes will be the next video that I make in this series. And I will, I will post it. I will announce the winner on next Saturday, which is let's see, when is next Saturday? The 6th of April. And then on the 7th of April, I will post the video for everybody to see. So I hope you all have a great day, and take it easy, and just, give, the people that you love a hug, because you don't know what may happen to them from one minute to the next. Okay, peace out, everyone.